Cheers and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Americans Learn. My name is Kit, and today we have ourselves a fun video to check out. And yes, I am still keeping true to my word, following everything in order, and this one is from Sabaton history, and without all of you hip cool cats, we would never have been made aware of Sabaton history. It's titled Saboteurs, Norwegian Heavy Water Sabotage, and staying true to this new updated version of how I'm checking out, how we're all checking out Sabaton history, we will also be playing the music video of Saboteurs as well. So if you don't got it, get it. If you don't get it, go figure it out. So please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that ring bell notification here for Americans Learn, because after all, without all of you, we would not exist. But please, please, please support the original content creators. The original link is in the description box below. So grab yourself a tasty snack and a tasty beverage, and let's get ready to check out this awesome video, Saboteurs, Norwegian Heavy Water Sabotage, Sabaton History, number 11. That's right. I'm keeping through with my promises, not to go out of order, but stay in order. So let's get ready to play this video and pull it up in a 3, a 2, a 1.
I'm Andy Nidell, and I'm Per from Sabaton, and this is Sabaton History.
All right, that threw me off a little bit.
During World War II, Germany, like the Allies, tried to develop a nuclear weapon.
And our song Saboteurs
Oh, wow.
is about the people who prevented that. And it is also the
My grandpa would tell me that story. He would talk about how the Germans were trying to develop it, but eventually it was becoming too costly. And I believe if it was not Adolf at the time, but there was other people who advised him to then invest in the V1 and what would eventually become the V2 rocket. Spoiler alert. Guess what those two rockets helped inspire? To take us to the moon. I know, it's rather shocking and terrifying all at the same time.
name of our German fan club.
So, what if the Nazis had developed the atomic bomb first?
Oh.
From the early 1930s, interest in atomic energy had grown dramatically. New research by men like British scientists Ernest Rutherford and James Chadwick had shown that by colliding an atom with a neutron, the atom could be broken down. And by bombarding unstable elements, a huge amount of energy was released during that breakdown process. The German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann had further discovered that bombarding a uranium atom with a neutron would lead to fission, in which more neutrons were released. Those in turn would split more atoms, creating a chain reaction that would not only release an incredible amount of energy, but could even lead to the creation of new elements, a discovery that got Hahn a Nobel Prize. But as the Nazis steered Germany towards war, a new question arose. Could this new discovery be weaponized? Could this new...
Can anything be turned into a weapon? By the way, just so you all know, I've heard this rumor, and I hope I'm wrong. But some time ago, I believe it was even tested if Nerf, remember Nerf, N-E-R-F, could be used as weapons. I know. I hope that's not true. I really hope that's not true.
energy be released in a bomb? By early 1940, the German scientists Kurt Diebner and Werner Heisenberg thought the answers were yes and yes. However, certain key components were needed to create such a bomb. One such key component in releasing the nuclear energy of atoms was heavy water. Let's get scientific for a minute, right? The core of this theoretic atom bomb would be plutonium surrounded by high explosives that would kickstart the atom-splitting chain reaction. But the element plutonium does not occur naturally and must be artificially created in a reactor, where neutrons bombard uranium to create it. This process was nearly impossible to control, so the scientists needed a moderator that would slow the neutrons down just enough to make it controllable. Such a moderator could be heavy water. Now, heavy water had a longer reactivity than normal water.
All right, so for those of you, we're getting our learn on in regard to how an atom bomb works and just how devastating it can be. But if you really want to see just the overall power of what this horrifying weapon of mass destruction has done. If you ever get the chance, please visit the Hiroshima Peace Museum. I had the opportunity of seeing it way back in 2020, but the first January of 2020, before the whole world went crazy with lockdowns and so much more. But I had the opportunity to visit the city of Hiroshima in Japan, and I was at the Peace Museum. Walking in there will definitely take a lot out of you. You're not going to leave the building the same. The imagery, the artifacts, the first-hand accounts, I can't describe them. And I hope all of you do get the chance to see it for yourselves, just so you can understand just how horrifying these weapons are, and also how frightening it is to think that the Germans, the Nazis, the Third Reich were trying to create such a devastating weapon. And I dread to think of just how drastically human society would have changed.
Because of the heavy isotope deuterium attached to the hydrogen atoms. This is naturally occurring in water, but only in a tiny, tiny frequency. But it can be artificially produced through electrolysis. One facility experienced in creating heavy water was the hydro plant Vemork in the Norwegian municipality Telemark. Vemork had produced power for a factory that created artificial fertilizer and had initially had heavy water as a byproduct, but over the years had recycled the heavy water, effectively enhancing its purity to over 99%. No one had really cared much about heavy water though, but as it became clear that it would be essential in the atomic fission process, its value suddenly increased enormously. Germany invaded Norway in 1940, but the heavy water reserves were smuggled out of Norway before the Germans reached the plant, though it would produce new heavy water now for the German atomic effort. But the chief manager of the plant secretly kept British intelligence up to date about German plans.
Wow, that takes a lot of bravery. Reaching out to British intel and doing all this while under the Third Reich's nose. Oh my goodness. By the way, folks, if there's any documentary series that about this, especially trying to get the information out, please share it in the comment section below. But also, all of a sudden, my brain just remembered something that kind of upset me. I believe it might have been, if not Battlefield, it could have been Call of Duty, but somebody did like a video game retelling of the Saboteurs, and they gender swapped a character in there or something like that. I don't know. Stupid. Come on, be historically accurate.
In fact, many Norwegians felt obliged to help a newly formed branch of the British government, the SOE. This was the Special Operations Executive, formed in July 1940. Its main task was to fight the German occupation in Western Europe through industrial and military sabotage. Specialists, elite soldiers, survivalists, and secret agents would make contact with the occupied populations to find and recruit qualified volunteers to fight the Germans behind the lines.
As they should. As they should.
They would not just gather information, but actively kill and destroy German personnel and equipment. Preventing Germany from developing an atomic bomb was on their to-do list.
Allied time was running short. They would race against the bomb. As hours turned to days, time passed slow. That's
The production of heavy water took a lot of time and energy. To produce 1 pound took 25 tons of normal water and
What?
over 160,000 kilowatts of energy. And it also had to be refined to a usable purity. Still, in May 1942, Heisenberg met with the Reichskommissar for Norway
Not the Heisenberg from Breaking Bad.
and other officers to discuss how to proceed with the German nuclear program. Vemork was now producing 286 pounds a month, and most German scientists agreed that they could use nuclear energy to power industrial factories to produce weapons. But to actually weaponize it was not thought possible just yet. The military officers, though, were more interested in an immediate solution, not theoretical bombs that were maybe ready in months or even years. Heisenberg knew that they had something, but he could not figure out how to bring it to life, though he secured further funding for the project and made plans to build a second hydro plant to increase the production of heavy water. Meanwhile, the SOE were stepping up their efforts to find a way to sabotage Vemork. They acquired contacts inside the plant who leaked all sorts of info, but actually sabotaging the plant was another matter. Any attempt by workers to destroy or pollute the heavy water carried the death sentence.
Oh, my goodness. Man, even then, seriously, any attempt undermined the Germans.
So the SOE began recruiting and training a specialist force. These were mostly men from the Norwegian Special Forces or the Norwegian Army, already with experience skiing, handling explosives, and survival in winter conditions. At a school in the north of Scotland where the terrain was similar to Telemark, marksmanship.
Yeah, I believe it might have been Call of Duty or Battlefield, some video game. They made a campaign about this. I hope I'm correct on this, and they replaced the whole group of guys was one person, and it was I believe a woman. It was not historically accurate whatsoever. I don't know. I think that caused a huge anger and uproar in the community. I don't know. Am I wrong about that video game campaign? Somebody who's played more Call of Duty, type in the comment section below. Am I off?
Espionage, map reading, close combat, camouflage, and advanced survival techniques were taught to the recruits. But the Germans were on high alert. Repeated attacks all over Norway, sabotaging railway lines and industrial plants had made them nervous. The hydro plant was now guarded by electrified barbed wire, dogs, searchlights, and hidden machine gun posts. Well, by October 1942, a vanguard of commandos parachuted onto the Hardanger Plateau, close to the lakes where the hydro plant got its water. They were to make contact with the resistance and find potential landing places for gliders. On November 19th, Operation Freshman was put into action. 2 airspeed Horsa gliders pulled by Handley Page Halifax bombers made for Norway, with British paratroopers and Royal Engineers aboard. As they approached the landing area, heavy fog descended on the mountains. One of the bombers misjudged its height and smashed into the mountainside, while the glider crashed on the ground.
Oh,
the
no!
second glider missed the actual landing zone and crashed near the first plane. It was a disaster, and the few survivors in such a remote location were unable to continue the mission. All they could do was wait for the SS to appear, and the Germans had issued the commando order. Every man identified as a commando was to be interrogated and then shot. No prisoners were taken.
Dropped onto a world of ice, a plateau of frozen lakes, a Nazi place of doom in their sight.
Amid visions of V-2 rockets armed with nuclear warheads falling on London, the SOE hastily agreed to send in the Norwegian Special Forces in Operation Gunnerside. They would parachute onto the Hardanger Plateau and ski their way to the hydro plant to destroy the heavy water stock or the electrolytic equipment in the basement. On February 16, 1943, a British Halifax flying under German radar crossed into Norway. The men successfully parachuted down, and in white camouflage, they skied toward the plant. Now, Vemork had been under lockdown since the failed Operation Freshman. German intelligence had been sweeping the countryside for potential collaborators, and additional patrols, floodlights, and anti-aircraft guns were now deployed. The direct way in, the single bridge crossing a ravine, was out of the question. There was, though, a potential weakness. A railway line that brought equipment into the plant. The train passed through a gate in the fence, and because of its prohibitive location, was presumably only lightly guarded. They were also tipped that there was a secret entrance to the basement through an open cable duct. On the night of the 28th, the commandos descended the ravine, crossed the icy river, and climbed the other side in the harsh wind of Norwegian winter,
Holy
reaching the
cow.
railway line undetected. There was only a pair of guards and enough cover to sneak by, the gate just a few hundred meters away. They split into 2 groups. One was the demolition team. The other would cover its advance with submachine guns and grenades if the guards were alerted. With bolt cutters, they opened their way into the compound.
Called into serve, and they knew what to do. They were the heroes of the code.
While the demolition group made their way to the electrolytic capacitors in the basement, the other team took positions to engage the enemy, aiming their guns at the nearby barracks. The basement door was locked, but as promised, the cable duct was still open.
Wow.
2 commandos from the demolition team crawled inside and through the tight space. After 10 minutes of crawling, they reached a hole over the basement and lowered themselves down. They quickly overwhelmed the surprised workers and locked the door. In the room with the capacitors, they planted 20 nitrocellulose charges around the equipment and ignited the fuses. They then released the workers and all dashed out through the door. The explosion that rocked the basement set fire to the building, but the heavy concrete had muffled the sound and no alarm was raised. Running through the night, they linked up with the second team and
That's right. Take that, Third Reich. Oh, that is incredible. All that heavy. Think about how loud or how thick the concrete had to been to even cover up that explosion. How many decibels of sound that was. And no one heard it.
made for the railway lines. As they reached the ravine, a shrill siren sound came from the compound, but luckily for the saboteurs, the floodlights could not catch them. They disappeared into the night.
Like Batman. Like Batman. But Norwegian style.
They say the book on history. They played a leading role to win the Second War.
The raid was a success, and the commandos dispersed. Alone or in small groups, they had a better chance to escape the German pursuers, and their individual escape stories are just as interesting as this story. Some hid in plain sight among the civilian population. Others
Oh, yeah. Whoa, that was crazy. That's crazy. Somebody did something to sabotage the thing? That's crazy, man. I'm going to drink my cup of tea. They disappeared Norwegian style? Batman style? Hold on. They disappeared Batman style? Norwegian style? That's crazy. Don't mind me.
made their way to Sweden. One guy named Hellberg had to escape James Bond style from a German ski patrol that chased him down a mountain while he fired at them with his pistol.
That is awesome.
All in all,
James Bond. Norwegian style.
the Sabotage was one of the most impressive feats of the whole war, straight out of an Alistair MacLean novel. And though it did not put a stop to the German heavy water program, it did put them behind schedule.
Good.
In November, the British conducted a bombing raid on Vemork that did little damage to the machinery, but that, together with the Commander raid, convinced the Germans to relocate their heavy water to Germany. Norwegian spies got the time and the place of the transport, though, and on February 20th, 1944, the ferry, with the fitting name Hydro, was sunk by Norwegian saboteurs, and nearly all of the heavy water was forever lost to the Germans in the depths of Lake Tinn.
Aquaman. Norwegian style.
At the end of the war, a second hydro plant in Bavaria was discovered. It had produced nearly enough heavy water for an atomic bomb. If the Norwegian heavy water had reached Germany in time, Hitler might have had nuclear weapons after all.
Holy God.
Warrior soul.
So we owe these men a debt of gratitude. The likes of... Okay. You know what? Who am I to tell the people... the Norwegian people what to do? But every school building, road should be named after those brave gentlemen that saved the world. That's on par of a saving the world kind of mission. That is incredible. Again, who am I to tell what the Norwegian people to do? But if we have any fans who are Norwegian, just a suggestion that I'm throwing out there, because that is incredible.
Tell us about the song, Saboteurs.
The song is actually very old, even though it was originally released on the 2010 album Coat of Arms. This song was one of the first ever written for Sabaton.
Like from the 90s and stuff, or...
Almost, but it wasn't finished. So it was only some ideas of it, and I loved the song from the beginning. It was our singer Joachim who wrote it, but he didn't get the final pieces to glue together. Originally, the song was, of course, written before we even started to talk about the topic of war.
Right. Okay.
So it had a different...
So not
name.
Saboteurs, no.
No, it was not Saboteurs, it was actually called Holy Lies.
But so, if it was Holy Lies way back then, before the albums and stuff, do you have like a demo version or a rough version of that?
We did a short, super crappy rehearsal
Oh, don't call it crappy. Don't you dare do that.
recording of it, actually.
And we can hear it?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hear it. Super crap.
You know what? Super crappy. That was awesome. That was great. I'm going to say 10 out of 10. It was awesome. Norwegian style. I'm going to be using that for some time now.
Happy, that was awesome. That was great.
I thought that it fitted very well with the story about the hydro plant in Norway. And it connects to a funny thing. When we released the song, we were contacted by the Norsk Hydro,
By the plant.
Yeah, by the plant, and one of the representatives from it, who sent a little gift in shape of a little bottle containing water. Heavy water.
No way.
Great. Sabaton's going to build an atom bomb now. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that on YouTube.
Not enough to produce a nuclear bomb, of course.
Oh, okay. We believe you. Sabaton creating nuclear bombs. Norwegian style.
Okay.
But if we ever want, we need a couple of more small bottles.
He's got a little heavy waters.
We were also asked by the people from Norsk Hydro to actually do a concert in the hydro plant.
Wow.
So this was something we couldn't do at the time in 2010, but we have still talked about it, and there's an option to do it in the future.
But if you did, since I live in Stockholm, I would totally come for that. Could I introduce you?
Sure.
That'd be fun. I mean, okay. My idea. We'll see if it ever works out.
Okay.
The song Saboteurs has also inspired to another thing.
What?
It inspired to the German fan club.
Right.
They are called the German Saboteurs.
Why do you suppose they chose that?
Well, I think that they refer to that they want to come and sabotage our concerts, I guess.
Aha. Wait.
Wait,
Even
what?
though
Why?
I don't think that they sabotage our concert. I think that they make them very rich.
Now, your other different...
Whoa. Okay. Interesting. Maybe it's an inside joke. If we have some diehard fans, could you elaborate a little bit more on the lore?
national fan clubs and stuff, do they all have different names based on songs and stuff?
Some of them have. I mean, we do have fan clubs who are named after Wolfpack, and we have Panzer Battalions and these and Karelians.
Are the Brazilians ones like Smoking Snakes?
Of course.
Yes, of course. Yes. Of course.
So that was the story about Saboteurs.
But we'll see you next time on Sabaton History.
Well, I think we know what the deal is now. All right, put your feet up. Get ready to smoke them if you got them. Pour yourself a drink. Let's sit back, relax, and enjoy Sabaton, Saboteurs music video.
Locked on to a world of ice, a plateau of frozen lakes, a Nazi place of doom in the sight. Training camps of Scottish heights to commando saboteurs. The mission of their lives lies ahead. Called into serve, and they knew what to do. They were the heroes of the cold warrior soul. They played a book of history. They played a leading role to win the second war. Allied time was running short. They would race against the bomb as hours turned to days. of history. They played a leading role to win the Second War. Heroes of the Telemark carry Viking blood in veins.
Yeah.
Warriors of the northern land, they live forevermore. Heroes of the Telemark carry Viking blood in veins. Warriors of the northern land, they live forevermore. Called into serve, and they knew
Run.
what to do. They were the heroes of the cold warrior soul. Warrior soul. They signed a book of history. They played a leading role to win the Second War. Warrior soul. They signed a book of history. They played a leading role to win the Second War.
Well, that was an awesome video. I believe that might have been a clip mashup of maybe a movie. And if so, I have to do my research and try and find it because I would like to watch it. So I think we learned something here today. First of all, I think the reason why we are breathing the air that we are breathing is because of these brave and dedicated Norwegian commandos. So to the family members of these brave commandos, the world owes your relatives, your ancestors, a great deal of debt. They carried that strong Viking blood in their veins, and they saved the day, stopping the Third Reich from attaining an atomic weapon that would have drastically changed not only the war, but human society as a whole. This has been an awesome, outstanding video. And I'm silenced by this. You know, when we hear about the Second World War, especially here in America, we hear about what we did, you know, what the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force at the time did. But, you know, we didn't really get involved in the war until 1941. But there were people fighting and saving the world, and their stories need to be told as well. So, again, to the brave Norwegian commandos, I'm going to tell this to the people, to the Norwegian people as well. Every street should be named after them. The world owes them a great deal of debt, and for that, we are all grateful. My name is Kit. This has been Americans Learn. Hey, please support the original content creators. Support Sabaton. They do a lot of good stuff. Support them on Patreon. Support all their YouTube channels, all their social media. Why? Because it's the right thing to do, and I know you'll do the right thing, just like those brave Norwegian commanders did the right thing too. Till then, drink water, keep your heads on a swivel, and yes, keep on winning. Take care.